Hey everyone, what's going on? Children of God, how are you doing? It's Daddy Mr Inspirational here. Now think, 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 think. Are you thinking? Do you think? Do you think about stuff? Have you ever thought about something? Surely you have. But the idea of thinking, right? The idea of thinking on its own is such a mysterious concept. If you think about it, here, imagine that. If you think about it carefully, you realize that most people do not really think. Instead, they exercise their memory to consider something that happened in the past, and that's what they base their viewpoint on. But if you think, you can find new viewpoints to the ideas that you originate inside your consciousness. So thinking is actually a very important power to exercise in your life. You know, look around you. What do most people talk about? They talk about what's going on in the news, but talk about what is going on in the world right now. They talk about what's going on in their lives, what happened in the past. A lot of times, people actually talk about what happened in their past. And because the past influences their current viewpoints, the past keeps sort of kept being brought up. It keeps going back into their current state of awareness, making them unable to actually perceive something beyond that past memory that is now controlling their minds. I know this might be a little confusing initially if you hear this, but it's a very interesting thing to consider for yourself in your own life. Because for many years, I'm not going to lie, I mean, there have been things in my past that sometimes come up in my consciousness, and they instantly make you kind of feel bad, kind of feel weird, like you're like kind of like you shudder at the thought, like, oh, that really happened in my life, or oh, I really did that, or oh, they did that to me. Oh, it's kind of uncomfortable at times depending on this and the severity of the situation. But then you gotta realize, but wait a minute, that is actually my memory controlling my thinking. But if I were to control my own thinking without letting memory disturb it, then I can build new ideas. Now, one of the most interesting ways of doing this, of controlling your thoughts, is by connecting it to your imagination. So you would build a vision, a dream, and a concept through your imagination of something way better than you've ever had before, and then you allow yourself to think about that idea. And as you keep contemplating it in your thoughts, it starts to grow, it starts to expand in intensity, which means it becomes more clearly defined as time goes on. And the more clearly defined that idea or that imaginative state becomes, well, the more easier it becomes to take physical action upon it, and then bam, your life changes around. Oh, look at that, my life just improved, it changed around. Isn't that wonderful? That's absolutely powerful. That's why you gotta remember to think. Think. Really think about what you want. Not based on past memories, but on imaginative visions. If you can grasp this subtle difference, then you'll be able to transform your life. You'll be able to transform it in any direction you please. Now, we will have to say that not everything is going to be fulfilled for us, physically speaking. There are certain goals, depending on the size and intensity and severity of it all. Now, some teachers like to say it doesn't matter, you'll be able to achieve whatever you want. Yes, to a certain extent. But there will always be goals that you won't be able to achieve. Imagine you're being 70 years old and you're like, oh, I want to achieve this and that, and then you die the next week because of old age. It's not realistic, I would say, to assume that you will achieve every single thing that you imagine, physically speaking. But it will give you something to work upon, to work with. Your imagination becomes your friend, allowing you to change your physical reality around. Because that is ultimately what we're all after. You know, to improve stuff, to change things around, to make them better, to make them more fulfilling. And it all happens through the power of thought and imagination combined. Of course, emotionally, you also have to be in harmony with your dream. But this video is mostly about using your ability to think in a more effective manner based on the visions you've built through your imagination. Yes, have a vision of something you would like to realize in your life, to achieve, and then start to think about that vision day in and out, and until it becomes so strong, until it becomes so habitual that you'll automatically, you'll be compelled to do all kinds of new stuff in order to make it so. Because the more intensely you become obsessed with an imaginative vision, the more compelled you become to actually act upon it, physically speaking. And we all know action causes a reaction. So it's the actions ultimately in your life that determine the results that you're getting, that determine the quality of your life. So if you want to improve it, you're going to have to change the way you act. But in order to change the way you act, you first have to go inside of your own consciousness, your own mind. You're going to have to understand that first you got to build the vision of what the improvement is about, and then you start to think according to that vision, and then you'll be able to act as long as you stay dedicated to those thought patterns that you are developing concerning this vision that was first originated through your imagination. It's absolutely wonderful. That's why I wrote a book called Thinking from Imagination. I have the whole audio book on my channel. You can check it out for free. You don't even have to buy it. You're good, but you can also listen to the audio book. And it just remains a fascinating concept to think from imagination, which means to no longer think from past memories and ideas that you were taught about yourself and limitations, etc. You start to think from a limitless point of view, because imagination is limitless as far as we know. It's only limited by the degree that we decide. This allows you to think in a much broader term about yourself, your potential, and what your life could be about. And as you learn to work with this power consciously and deliberately, you'll change everything around. So I hope today you take the time to really consider, have I been thinking clearly about what I want? Is my thoughts ones of desire, of upliftment, of something worthwhile to pursue, or are my thoughts based on past memories constantly disturbing me, infecting me, and dragging me down because of stuff that might have happened to me? And you keep thinking about that, and your whole mind keeps getting dragged down, basically. Yes, I mean, if you keep thinking about the negatives from past memories, then you can never outgrow them. But if you start to think from positives through imaginative vision, yes, you'll be able to outgrow the very things that were once holding you back. Again, this whole life is a mental game. It's all about the mind and how you're using it. And the more you practice these concepts, the more you'll discover the true power that lies within you, and the more you'll be able to improve your results, and then you'll be satisfied. Then you'll be happy because you finally discovered the way out of all the limitations that were once holding you back. Because ultimately, as we said at the beginning, children of God, it's all up to you, and the power resides within you. It was God-given, so I hope you'll use it. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.